This video, this audio, is basically going to be the entire 80,000 hours career plan in audio form. You can already read it on our website. We're at nextsteplanningedu.com/career-guide. The entire career guide is there if you want to read it instead. This audio format is really to help people, maybe they don't have time to read it through, but they can listen to it as they're going about their day in the car or wherever it is. I'm also in video format because I understand that people, this generation, we like to watch videos rather than have to read everything out. So, and sit back, enjoy. Get a pen and paper, write down some thoughts as I'm explaining this stuff to you to help you figure out what you want to do for your career. The entire thing is here for you to try to figure out, what's the best route for you. So, part one of the career guide: what makes a dream job? We all want to find a dream job that's enjoyable and meaningful. But what does that actually mean? Some people imagine that the answer involves discovering their passion through a flash of insight, while others think that the key elements of their dream job are that it may be easy and highly paid. Well, we reviewed 2 decades of research into the causes of satisfying life and career, drawing on over 60 studies, and we didn't find much evidence for those views. Instead, we found 6 key ingredients of a dream job. They don't include income. They aren't as simple as following your passion. In fact, following your passion can lead you astray. Steve Jobs was passionate about Zen Buddhism before entering technology. Condoleezza Rice was a talented classical musician before she started studying politics. Rather, you can develop a passion by doing work that you find enjoyable and meaningful. The key is to get good at something that helps other people. So what's the bottom line? To find a dream job, look for work you're good at, work that helps others, and supportive conditions. Engaging work that lets you enter a state of flow, supportive colleagues, lack of major negatives like unfair pay, and work that fits your personal life. Now, where do we go wrong? So, the usual way people try to work out their dream job is to imagine different jobs and think about how satisfying they seem. Or they think about times they felt fulfilled in the past and self-reflect about what matters most to them. If this were a normal career guide, we'd start by getting you to write down a list of things of what you most want from a job, like working outdoors and working with ambitious people. The best-selling career book of all time, What Color Is Your Parachute, recommends exactly this. The hope is that deep down people know what they really want. However, research shows that although self-reflection is useful, it only goes so far. You can probably think of times in your own life when you were excited about a holiday or a party, but when it actually happened, it was just okay. In the last few decades, research has shown that this is common. We're bad at predicting what will make us most happy. And we don't even realize how bad we are. You can find an excellent overview of this research in Stumbling on Happiness by Harvard professor Dan Gilbert. It turns out we're even bad at remembering how satisfying different experiences were. One well-established mistake is that we tend to judge on experience mainly by its ending. If you missed your flight on the last day of an enjoyable holiday, you'll probably remember the holiday as bad. This means we can't just trust our intuitions. We need a more systematic way of working out which job is best for us. The same research that proves how bad we are at self-reflection can help us make more informed choices. We now have 2 decades of research into positive psychology, the science of happiness, as well as decades of research into motivation and job satisfaction. We'll summarize the main lessons of this research and explain what it means for finding a fulfilling job. 2 overrated goals for a fulfilling career. People often imagine that a dream job is well paid and easy. One of the leading job rankings in the US, provided by CareerCast, rates jobs on the following criteria. 1. Is it highly paid? 2. Is it going to be highly paid in the future? 3. Is it stressful? And 4. Is the working environment unpleasant? Based on this, the best job in 2015 was an actuary. That is someone who uses statistics to measure and manage risks, often in the insurance industry. It's true that actuaries are more satisfying with their jobs than average, but they're not amongst the most satisfied. Only 36% said their work is meaningful. So being an actuary isn't a particularly fulfilling career. So the career cast list isn't capturing everything. In fact, the evidence suggests that money and avoiding stress aren't that important. Money makes you happier, but only a little. It's a cliche that you can't buy happiness, but at the same time, financial security is amongst most people's top career priorities. Moreover, when people are asked what would most improve the quality of their lives, the most common answer is more money. What's going on here? Which side is right? A lot of the research on this question is remarkably low quality, but several recent major studies in economics offer more clarity. The truth turns out to lie in the middle. Money does make you happy, but only a little. Here are the findings from a huge survey in the United States in 2010. People were asked to rate how satisfied they were with their lives on a scale from 1 to 10. The result is shown on the right, while the bottom shows their household income. You can see that going from a pre-tax income of $40,000 to $80,000 is only associated with an increase in life satisfaction from about 6.5 to 7 out of 10. That's a lot of extra income for a small increase in happiness. But that's optimistic. If we look at day-to-day happiness, income is even less important. Positive effect is whether people reported feeling happy yesterday. The left shows a fraction of people who said yes. This line goes flat around $50,000, showing that beyond this point, income had no relationship with day-to-day happiness. The picture is similar if we look at the fraction who were not blue or stress-free yesterday. These lines are completely flat by $75,000. So beyond this point, income had no relationship with how happy, sad, or stressed people felt. This is hardly surprising. We all know people who have gone into high-earning jobs and ended up miserable. Moreover, the relationship between income and happiness under this threshold may be caused by a third factor. For example, being healthy could both make you happy and allow you to earn more. If this is true, then the effect of earning extra money will be even weaker than the correlation above suggests. Finally, $75,000 of household income is equivalent to an individual's income of only $40,000 if you don't have kids. To customize this threshold for yourself, make the following adjustments, all pre-tax. The $40,000 figure was for 2009. Due to inflation, it's more like $45,000 in 2018. Add $20,000 per dependent who does not work that you fully support. Add 50% if you live in an expensive city, New York, San Francisco, or subtract 30% if you live somewhere cheap, like rural Tennessee. Add more money if you're especially motivated by money, or subtract some if you have frugal tastes. Add 15% in order to be able to save for retirement, or however much you personally need to save in order to be able to maintain the standard of living described above. The average college graduate in the United States has recently earned about $77,000 per year over his or her working life, while the average Ivy League graduate earns over $110,000. The upshot is that if you're a college student in the United States or a similar country, then you'll likely end up well into the range where more income has almost no effect on your happiness. Another thing, don't aim for low stress. Many people tell us that they want to find a job that's not too stressful. And it's true that in the past, doctors and psychologists believed that stress was always bad. However, the picture is a bit more complicated. One puzzle is that studies of high-ranking government and military leaders found they had lower levels of stress hormones and less anxiety, despite sleeping fewer hours, managing more people, and having higher occupational demands. One widely supported explanation is that having a greater sense of control by setting their own schedules and determining how to tackle the challenges they face protects them against the demands of the position. This means the picture looks more like the following graph. Having a very undemanding job is bad. That's boring. Having demands that exceed your abilities is bad too. They cause harmful stress. The sweet spot is where the demands placed on you match your abilities. That's a fulfilling challenge. Instead of seeking to avoid stress, seek out a supportive context and meaningful work, and then challenge yourself. So, what should you aim for in a dream job? We've applied the research on positive psychology about what makes for a fulfilling life and combining them with research on job satisfaction to come up with 6 key ingredients of a dream job. 1, work that's engaging. What really matters is not your salary, status, type of company, and so on, but rather what you do day by day, hour by hour. Engaging work is work that draws you in, holds your attention, and gives you a sense of flow. It's the reason an hour spent editing a spreadsheet can feel like pure drudgery, while an hour playing a computer game can feel like no time at all. Computer games are designed to be as engaging as possible. What makes the difference? Why are computer games engaging while office admin isn't? Researchers have identified 4 factors. The freedom to decide how to perform your job, clear tasks with a clearly defined start and end, variety and the types of tasks, feedback so you know how well you're doing, freedom, clear tasks, variety, and feedback. Each of these factors have been shown to correlate with job satisfaction in a major meta-analysis, and they are widely thought by experts to be the most empirically verified predictors of job satisfaction. That said, playing computer games is not the key of a fulfilling life, and not just because you won't get paid. That's because you also need the second point, which is work that helps others. The following jobs have the 4 ingredients of engaging work that we discussed, but when asked, over 90% of people doing them say they don't find them meaningful. Revenue analyst, fashion designer, TV newscast director. Engaging but non-meaningful work. These jobs, however, are seen as meaningful by almost everyone who does them. Fire service officer, nurse midwife, and a neurosurgeon. The key difference is that the second set of jobs seem to help other people. That's why they're meaningful, and that's why helping others is our second factor. There's a growing body of evidence that helping others is a key ingredient for life satisfaction. People who volunteer, who are less depressed and healthier, a randomized study showed that performing a random act of kindness makes the giver happier. And a global survey found that people who donate to charity are satisfied with their lives as those who earn twice as much as them. Helping others isn't the only route to a meaningful career, but it's widely accepted by researchers that it's one of the most powerful. We explore jobs that really help people in the next part of this guide, including jobs that help indirectly as well as directly. The third thing to look for is work you're good at. Being good at your work gives you a sense of achievement, a key ingredient of life satisfaction discovered by positive psychology. It also gives you the power to negotiate for the other components of a fulfilling job, such as the ability to work on meaningful projects, undertaking engaging tasks, and earn fair pay. If people value your contribution, you can ask for these conditions in return. For both reasons, skill ultimately trumps interest. Even if you love art, if you pursue it as a career but aren't good at it, you'll end up doing boring graphic design for companies you don't care about. That's not to say that you should only do work you're already good at. However, you want the potential to get good at it. The fourth thing to look for in a job, for a career, is work with supportive colleagues. Obviously, if you hate your colleagues and work for a boss from hell, you're not going to be satisfied. Since good relationships are such an important part of having a fulfilling life, it's important to be able to become friends with at least a couple of people at work. And this probably means working with at least a few people who are similar to you. However, you don't need to become friends with everyone or even like all of your colleagues. Research shows that perhaps the most important factor is whether you can help from your colleagues when you run into problems. A major meta-analysis found social support was among the top predicators of job satisfaction. People who are disagreeable and different from yourself can be the people who you'll give the most useful feedback, provided they care about your interests. This is because they'll tell it like it is and have a different perspective. Professor Adam Grant calls these people disagreeable givers. When we think of dream jobs, we usually focus on the role, but who you work with is almost as important. A bad boss can ruin a dream position, while even boring work can be fun if done with a friend. So even when selecting a job, will you be able to help make friends with some people in the workplace? And more importantly, does the culture of the workplace make it easy to get help, get feedback, and work together? The fifth thing, lack of major negatives. To be satisfied, everything above is important. Everything we discuss is important, but you also need the absence of things that make work unpleasant. All of the following tend to be linked to job dissatisfaction. A long commute, especially if it's over an hour by bus. Very long hours, pay you feel is unfair, and job insecurity. Although these sound obvious, people often overlook them. The negative consequences of a long commute can be enough to outweigh many other positive factors. The sixth thing, work that fits with the rest of your life. You don't have to get all the ingredients of a fulfilling life from your job. It's possible to find a job that pays the bills and excel in a side project, or to find a sense of meaning through philanthropy or volunteering, or to build better, greater relationships outside of work. We've advised plenty of people who have done this. There are famous examples too. Einstein had the most productive year in 1905 while working as a clerk at a patent office. So this last factor is a reminder to consider how your career fits with the rest of your life. Before we move on, here's a quick recap of the 6 ingredients. This is what to look for in a dream job. 1, work you're good at. Work that helps others. Engaging work that lets you enter a state of flow. Freedom, variety, clear tasks, and feedback. 4, supportive colleagues. And no major negatives like long hours or unfair pay, and a job that fits your personal life. So, should you just follow your passion? Follow your passion has become a defining piece of career advice. Just follow your passion. The idea is that the key to finding a great career is to identify your greatest interest, your passion, and pursue a career involving that interest. It's an attractive message. Just commit to your passion, and you'll have a great career. And then we look at successful people, they're often passionate about what they do. Now, we're fans of being passionate about your work. The research above shows that intrinsically motivating work makes people a lot happier than a big paycheck. However, there are 3 ways follow your passion can be misleading advice. One problem is that it suggests that passion is all you need. But even if you're deeply interested in the work, if you lack the 6 other factors, you'll still be unsatisfied. If a basketball fan gets a job involving basketball but works with people who they hate, receives unfair pay, or finds the work meaningless, they're still going to dislike their job. In fact, following your passion can make it harder to satisfy the 6 ingredients because the areas you're passionate about are likely to be the most competitive, which makes it harder to find a good job. So, passions versus jobs. A second problem is that many people don't feel like they have a career-relevant passion. Telling them to follow their passion makes them feel inadequate. If you don't have a passion, don't worry. You can still find work you can become passionate about. The third problem is that it can make people needlessly limit their options. If you're interested in literature, it's easy to think you must become a writer to have a satisfying career and ignore other options. It's also easy to have the idea that your one true passion will be immediately obvious and eliminate options that aren't immediately satisfying. But in fact, you can become passionate about new areas. If you work If your work helps others, you practice to get good at it, you work on engaging tasks, and you work with people you like, then you'll become passionate about it. The 6 ingredients are all about the context of the work, not the content. 10 years ago, we would never have imagined being passionate about giving career advice, but here we are. Many successful people are passionate, but often their passion developed alongside their success and took a long time to discover rather than coming first. Steve Jobs started out passionate about Zen Buddhism. He got into technology as a way to make some quick cash. But as he became successful, his passion grew until he became the most famous advocate of doing what you love. In reality, rather than having a single passion, our interests change often and more than we expect. Think back to what you were most interested in 5 years ago, and you'll probably find that it's pretty different from what you're interested in today. And as we saw above, or what I spoke about before, we're bad at knowing what really makes us happy. This all means you have more options for a fulfilling career than you think. Do what contributes to the world. Rather than follow your passion, our slogan for fulfilling career is the following: get good at something that helps others, or simply do what contributes. We highlight getting good because if you find something you're good at that others value, you'll have plenty of career opportunities, which gives you the best chance of finding a dream job with all the other ingredients: engaging work, good colleagues, lack of major negatives, and fit with the rest of your life. We can all have the other 5 ingredients, however, and still find your work meaningless. So you need to find a way to help others too. If you put making a valuable contribution to the world first, you'll develop passion for what you do. You become more content, ambitious, and motivated. This is what we found in our career advising. For instance, Jess was interested in philosophy as an undergraduate and considered pursuing a PhD. The problem was that although she finds philosophy interesting, it would have been hard to make a positive impact within it. Ultimately, she thinks this would have made it unfulfilling. Instead, she switched into psychology and public policy and is now one of the most motivated people we know. To date, over 1,000 people have made changes to their career path by following our career advice. Many switch into a field that didn't initially interest them, but that they believed was important for the world. After developing their skills, finding good people to work with, and the right role, they've become deeply satisfied. Here are 2 more reasons to focus on getting good at something that helps others. First of all, you'll be more successful. If you make it your mission to help others, then people will want to help you succeed. This sounds obvious, and there's now empirical evidence to back it up. In an excellent book, Give and Take, Professor Adam Grant argues that people with a giving mindset end up among the most successful people. That is both because they get more help and because they'll be more motivated by a sense of purpose. One caveat is that givers also end up unsuccessful if they focus too much on others and burn out. So you also need to find the other ingredients of a job satisfaction we mentioned before. To set limits on how much you give. You'll be more successful, and also it's the right thing to do. The idea that helping others is the key to being fulfilled is hardly a new one. It's a theme from most major moral and spiritual traditions. What's more, as we'll explain in the next section, as a college graduate and in a developed country today, you have an enormous opportunity to help others through your career. Ultimately, this is the real reason to focus on helping others. The fact that it'll make you more personally fulfilled is just a bonus. So in conclusion, to have a dream job, don't worry too much about money and stress, and don't endlessly self-reflect till you find your one true passion. Rather, get good at something that helps others. It's best for you and it's best for the world. This is the reason we set up 80,000 hours. Our mission is to help you find a career that contributes. But which jobs help people? Can one person really make that much of a difference? That's what we'll answer in the next sections, and basically apply this to your career. These 6 ingredients, especially helping others and getting good at your job, they can act as a guiding light. That's what to aim to find in a dream job long term. Here are some exercises to help you start applying them. Practice using the 6 ingredients to make some comparisons. Pick 2 options you're interested in, then score them from 1 to 5 on each factor. The 6 ingredients we list are only a starting point though. There may be other factors that are especially important to you, so we also recommend doing the following exercises. They're not perfect. As we saw earlier, our memories of what we've found fulfilling can be unreliable at times, but completely ignoring your past experience isn't wise either. When have you been most fulfilled in the past? What do these times have in common? Imagine you just found out you're going to die in 10 years. What would you spend your time doing? Can you make any of your 6 factors more specific? What kinds of people do you like to work with? These questions should give you hints about what you find most fulfilling. Third, combine our list with your own thoughts to determine the 4 to 8 factors that are most important to you in a dream job. When you're comparing your options in the future, you can use this list of factors to work out which is best. Don't expect to find an option that's best on every dimension. Rather, focus on finding the option that's best on balance. That is part 1 of the career guide, job satisfaction. For part 2, which jobs really help people and how much could you accomplish? Keep listening, keep reading, click the link wherever I post it. And I hope you're enjoying this career guide. Hope you see a little bit more insight into what it's like to have a satisfying career. The kind of things to look for. Those 6 factors are important. It's very, those are the key ingredients of finding a satisfying job, and just hope that you learn something. Please, when you get a chance, part 2, which jobs really help people and how much could you accomplish?